Hi, my name is Taylor Moore. I'm 26 years old. I bike both for my job and for fun.
So how long have you been biking for?
Biking, I've pretty much been biking my entire life, but with this job I've been doing it for the past 3 years. I didn't really get serious into biking until I started the job. And so yeah, the past 3 years I've been really getting more into biking and understanding bikes and bike culture and all that kind of stuff.
And what got you into biking in the first place? Either when you were younger or so you said your job this time.
I mean,
well.
every kid rides a bike.
Yeah.
Like, at least where I grew up, we all rode bikes for fun, just riding around with our little cruisers, like doing skid stops everywhere, just like being little kids.
Yeah.
But what really got me into biking was moving to Gainesville, first and foremost. Like, just seeing all these kids riding their bikes around, having fun, and all that stuff. Like, you just see everyone else doing it, and you kind of like become part of it, like after living here for so long.
Yes. So how would you say biking enhances your life?
It enhances my life in so many ways. It allows me to pay my bills, which is super important. It's fresh out of college, definitely got to do that. It gives me great exercise. It makes me aware of like things that bicyclists like have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, like how the city's mapped out and how city planning goes into it. Like, if you're in a town with bad infrastructure, it's really hard to be a cyclist. I come from South Florida, and cycling there is horrible, you know, like unless you're like riding on A1A on the beach, like, which is beautiful. Like, that's the only spot you're really able to ride freely. Like, if you go in town on like 441 amidst like all this 50-mile-per-hour traffic, it's not like good.
Yeah, I've never heard good things about South Florida.
No.
I've never been down there, but
Well, there's good like trail riding and stuff like that, but in the city there's like, it's not a good metropolitan city setup for cycling, which is definitely something that Gainesville has to offer, for sure.
yeah. So, like, how do you think cycling would enhance the community if more people in Gainesville or South Florida or, you know,
Well, I think
anywhere?
I think cycling is great because it cuts down on having to use a car, which is obviously, everyone's heard of global warming, like CO2 emissions. It's not the best thing that we should be doing for our environment. So the more people biking, it's overall better for the environment. I think it's like a really eye-opening thing for like city officials to become aware of. Like, when you have kids like wanting to learn how to bike, they're more prone to set up these bike lanes and just like accept cycling on a mainstream level where you don't have to be scared to ride your bike on the street, you know? So
Yeah. Gainesville, you would say, is not very bike friendly for all ages? Or-
not for all ages, that's for sure. If you're a experienced cyclist, you're definitely able to get on the road and not have to worry as much as, say, a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
A 10-year-old would die. Like, you wouldn't want them riding on University Avenue here, for sure.
No, definitely not. But compared to South Florida, overall better.
Oh, for sure. I'd say almost night and day, pretty much. Gainesville has really a pretty good setup. There's definitely a lot of places for improvement, but it's getting there.
I guess that might have kind of touched on the next question, but like, what are the biggest challenges you face on the road, at work, or when you're riding for fun?
People just not caring about cyclists, being ignorant to laws, like cycling laws and the rules of the road. People just honking their horn at you just for riding your bike, and just not being just not knowing where you are. If you are on the road, they'll pass by you and just cut you off and be like, oh, I didn't even see you. You know, like the driver awareness is the #1 problem for cycling in Gainesville. And infrastructure could be upped as well. Like that's #2.
And, is there any like particularly memorable story about cycling that you want to share? Or?
Yeah. The most recent one, I've told you this before. I was heading east on Southwest 2nd Avenue, which is a avenue that has no stoplights or anything like that. Ample bike lanes, except for in the roundabouts. And when you get in a roundabout, traffic is supposed to yield to who's ever in the roundabout. So I was going about 20 miles per hour, and I get into the roundabout, and there's this PT Cruiser, older guy driving it. He pulls up next to me while I'm going around the roundabout and passes me. It like speeds at 20 miles per hour. So I'm pretty much cut off from getting back into the straightaway once I get out of the roundabout because he's passing by me. So I just fly into the curb and I crashed. And I was working at the time. And so I see him pull into a little plaza up the way. So I go up to confront him. And I get up to him, he steps out of his car. I'm like, excuse me, sir, do you know that you just cut me off back there? And he comes, and this guy's like 70 years old. Like, I was just trying to be polite and let him know what he did, and like, obviously I wasn't hurt or anything, but still, like, you don't want to deal with any of that shit. And I said that to him, and he comes up to me, and he's like, what the fuck did you just say to me? Get the fuck out of my face before I kick your ass. And I was just like so taken aback by this old guy saying this to me. And I was just like, you cut me off in a roundabout going like 20 miles per hour and I crash into the curb. And then like his wife is in the passenger seat and she's like, well, you didn't hurt yourself or you didn't fall down. And I'm like, well, yeah, I crashed into the curb. Thankfully I didn't fall over, but like, the way you're driving is not allowed. Like, you can't do that. If a cop saw that, you'd get pulled over. So, and he was just like saying he'd kick my ass over and over again to get out of his face. And I was working, so I couldn't really say as much as I really wanted to, or handle it the way I usually would. And thankfully, there was another guy, a civilian there, watching this happen, and made the other guy kind of realize what he was actually doing, like threatening to like beat me up over like some stupid shit. And I just rode away and took my delivery wherever I had to go.